The movie starts with a dose of history. The Second World War has just concluded, but civil war has followed, forcing China and Taiwan to stick to their territories. Taiwan's government has plans to launch a counterattack against the mainland. It's 1969, Quai Moi. New recruits file into the coast. There are several of them, but only a handful are selected to proceed based on physique, stamina, and lack of body arts. Part of the selected few is Lo Pao Tai. They're taken to the barracks where intense training begins immediately. The colonel in charge lets them know their service has reduced them to the likeness of dogs. The colonel welcomes the set to the Republic of China military. Current location is 101 Amphibious Reconnaissance Battalion. They're told that Quai Moi is a few kilometers off the mainland coast, and it's their first line of defense. The colonel is still on about the level of patriotism he expects from them when they hear the sound of a bomb, and the reflex makes them curl like shells. The commander instructs them to get back as the shell lands far off. The sky soon ripples again, and this time they really have to take cover. Posters from the explosion litter the sand. Pao picks one up, and it campaigns that Mao is the hero, while Chiang Kai-shek is the enemy. What a dramatic way to send a message. In the privacy of his dorm, Pao writes to Shufan about his experience as a trainee on the island. He makes it sound less extreme and fairy tale-like than it really is, lacing it with the important fact that their mission is to defeat the communists and bring victory to their homeland. Colonel Chang picks Pao to demonstrate how easily a soldier could get taken out if they choose to hesitate. The young lad had failed to thrust with a knife when the commander instructed him to, and Chang had him flat on the ground, with the knife buried inches from his face. Over lunch, a group of recruits makes Chang sound like a formidable legend, capable of any and everything. Pao is out on the street when he spots Chang cooing a small child. Chang spots him too and calls on him, needing his reading skills. They go to a pawn shop, and Chang pawns a watch for $350 for 3 months. He gets the money and a fashion accessory to woo a girl at the brothel. To appreciate Pao's help in facilitating the deal, Chang offers to treat him, but Pao declines, preferring instead to honor his mother's wishes and stay clear from the brothels. Chang teases Pao for his morals, and then goes off to put his money and accessories to use in the bedroom. The trainees are drilled out on the sea. Seems Pao suffers seasickness, but there's no pity to give. He's forced to join the others in the swimming exercises, and is almost taken out by his panic attack. One of his comrades pulls him back to shore, and the commander is so furious that he announces Pao will be denied lunch. They identify as the Sea Dragons, and a soldier that can't swim won't cut it. Pao undergoes a standard procedure by a colonel to understand his background, marital status, and any commitments. Chang arranged for his transfer after his underperformance with the frogmen training. He isn't married but has a girlfriend he plans to marry when he gets home. He also affirms he's committed and loyal to her. Pao arrives at Unit 831 for his transfer. The director, Cho Ching, welcomes him in, prompting him not to be so terrified as they're not a military unit. Ching puts Jung in charge of showing Pao the ropes. The brothel is called Tea House, and Jung comments that there are barely enough girls to render services to about 100,000 soldiers in the barracks. Soldiers assigned to the brothel have their sleeping quarters in the attic. Jung is about to dish out more instructions when a familiar fight breaks out between two sex workers. They accuse each other of stealing customers. It starts as verbal abuse, but soon levels up to a catfight. Soldiers rush to intervene, and the director screams at the entire lot to quit making a fool of themselves, or there'll be consequences. It's a whole spectacle with soldiers looking from several balconies above. Jung advises Pao, in the privacy of their sleeping quarters, to get gifts for Cher and Peach. Getting on their good side would make his stay far easier. Pao admits his experience with the Sea Dragons has been nothing to write home about, but just a day in the brothel makes him wish to return to the frogmen. Jung can only say he should get used to being in military paradise. Pao meets Nina when he enters her room to pick up the catfight laundry. He soon realizes just how promiscuous the brothel can be. Nothing is done discreetly, and the soldiers are horny little boys in service uniforms. It's obvious he doesn't fit in, and his reaction to seductive touch makes it easy to tell that he's a virgin. Pao starts feeling a pull towards Nini. He hesitates longer than necessary when he's to give a comrade an extra ticket for Nini's services. He sees her waiting in bed, and she turns to give him a lazy stare until the soldier shuts the door. Pao is having a shower with one of his comrades, Hong, who tells him to loosen up and get himself involved with several of the girls. He's being picked on, but if he's going to scale through, then he has to act like them. Jung teases Hong for his bravado, knowing he's yet to access number 7 Nini. But here he is telling Pao he's had all the girls. Pao has noticed Nini gets up to 10 tickets a day from the same customer, and wants to understand how a soldier can afford that. Jung explains a customer usually pays for one, but Nini pays for several rounds if she wishes. Pao wonders why she's a sex worker then if she clearly doesn't need the money. There's a bomb explosion close enough to shake their base and have them running to take cover. The colonel from earlier, Yu and Chang are having drinks when Yu lets on that he's getting married soon. Chang is excited to hear this and ponders on what gifts to get his friend. Yu declines the gesture, pointing out that Chang is the only comrade that comes from his hometown, and so he considers him family. Chang can be his escort when he walks the bride down the aisle. Pao spots a familiar face, seemingly his fellow virgin getting tormented. The guy's name is Chung Hua Sing, an old friend of Pao's. Hua expresses Pao is in a chilled unit. He's in the supply unit, where it's always cold, damp, and dark. He shows Pao an infection on his skin that won't go away as long as he remains stationed in the tunnels. His superiors don't make life any easier. They bully him in several ways, like forcing him to come to the brothel and spend his 3 months' salary on tickets for them. The whole idea of serving in the army is a nightmare for him, and he hates that they're forced into it. The guy can't seem to catch a break. He's peacefully in bed when a set of soldiers command him to drop and give 200. He thought they'd let him be after he treated them at the brothel, but apparently not. They make him do the push-ups even though the floor is flooded, making him push so low that his face kisses the water. Meanwhile, Chang is gambling with a Guangdong officer who lost a watch to him during their last game. The officer is excited to conclude the game with a win, meaning he can get the watch back. Chang stoically tells him he's pawned the watch, and the officer tries to launch at him. Chang easily flicks him, and the officer is dragged out of the room. Colonel Yu is present to witness the ordeal and is disappointed in Chang. He counts out some money so Chang can get the watch back, but Chang rejects it. It's not up for debate, and Yu leaves the money on the table so Chang can do the right thing. Pao continues to gravitate towards Nini. He peeps her one late night in her room reading a book. The next day, Chang comes to pay for the services of number 8. They're now buddies, conversing over a meal. Chang's father used to make dumplings, better than what the restaurants or anyone else cooks. He was lost in action when Chang was still young, and he remembers his father cooked a ton of dumplings the day before he left. Chang and Pao are out in the field. Chang finds himself recalling more from his past and remembers the day he was forced into the army. He was out working in the rice paddles. He still remembers the shoes he'd rather tie around his waist than wear on his feet because his mom made them, and they were special to him. He saw the smoke from the chimney because his house wasn't far off from the fields. He'd thought his mother was cooking something for dinner, but the situation became clearer when he saw numerous soldiers filing out from that direction. He cries out now to the wind that he misses his mom. It feels good to scream out his frustration, so he keeps screaming and Pao joins him. Pao tries to fix the light bulb in Nini's room. He suspects the fault is from the wiring and will need to call someone to check it. Nini's lamp is faulty too, so the room is streaked with darkness until the morning comes. She asks him if he's taken an interest in any of the women, but he says he has more self-control than his comrades. Nini knows he has a girlfriend and wonders if he's resilient for her sake. She has her guitar with her and he comments on the English song she's sung often on several nights. She offers to teach him even though his English is poor. Nini puts the guitar in his arms and directs his fingers on the right strings. Hovering over his shoulder, she strums the first line of the song and asks Pao to repeat it. He only proves that his English is indeed poor, and it sends them into a fit of laughter that echoes through and has some other woman telling them to keep it down. Nini's room is below his, and they make it a tradition that every night she uses a stick to knock for his attention. He comes running, and they spend the night laughing and talking. Even his roommate teases him one night to use protection with his frequent visits. Leisurely out with Chang in the fields wasn't a one-time thing. It happens again, and Pao has a letter for Chang to read, although Chang can't read. Pao reads out the letter, and Chang realizes it's a letter he wrote to his mom but never delivered. It's been 20 years since the day at the rice paddles. Pao urges him to write again, revealing his father has a friend in Japan who can help redirect their letters. Chang stands that it's against the military rules. Pao reads the rest of the letter, and Chang comments that Pao is acting like Colonel Yu. The letter reveals he's built a substantial life for himself, but Chang still feels he has failed his family and doesn't know how or when to make it up. He advises Pao to do better with his life. A public announcement sounds through the barracks. The Republic of China wants the Taiwan military to pack it up and come back to the mainland where they'll be received with open arms. The announcement depicts them as one big family. Might as well break into a song at this point. Pao notices a comrade waiting impatiently outside a prostitute's door. The light on the door is lit red so they know she's in session, but the soldier complains it's been more than 20 minutes. Extra time means an extra ticket, so Pao calls out to the occupant to get one. The next thing they hear is a slap and a scream. Pao busts into the room and finds the soldier ready to beat up the woman. The director also comes running and pulls the soldier away. The woman asserts she didn't hurt herself like the soldier wants them to believe. He hit her because he wanted extra time and a different position. Paradise is becoming a hellhole, and the heat of the flames spreads across the barracks. Hua is still getting, but he chooses this one night to be defiant. The consequences remain behind closed doors. Seems Pao is no longer a virgin. Or it's their new thing, him and Nini lying next to each other in bed. Later on, Pao receives a letter that puts him in a damper mood. The letter was a breakup letter from his girlfriend, and he notified Nini. He's angry because he feels he was faithful for nothing. Nini counters that the decisions he took about his body are more for himself than someone else. The relationship wasn't built to last, and there's no need dwelling on it. It's a bummer though, getting dumped on his birthday. Nini has a gift for him, a watch that belonged to her father. She insists he takes it over some kaleidoscope she states belongs to someone else. Hua shows up at the brothel to buy a ticket. Pao notices an unspoken resolution behind his eyes. In the privacy of her room, Hua helps cut the girl's hair. It's the same girl a soldier hit earlier. Pao is told to escort Cher to the hospital to check out an infection she's been complaining about. The officer warns him to be on guard because she's tried to run away before. They make a stop at the restroom because she has to pee badly. Pao gets apprehended by an officer because some soldier has taken off with an 831 unit worker. Pao has an inkling of who it is. Officers and search dogs are deployed to scout the perimeter. 831 unit soldiers will have to turn in for questioning as the prosecutor has arrived. Pao confides in Young that he might have seen the girl, Sasa, when she took off. She was in their military uniform. Young tells Pao to keep shut about what he possibly saw. They'll both pretend like they have no idea. Meanwhile, Hua and Sasa make it out to the coast and plan to swim their way to the mainland. Work resumes. Ching hands Pao cuffs for both Nini and Cher. Pao is confused, so Ching reveals Nini is an inmate put in the brothel as part of her plea deal. The women are taken out to the streets to treat themselves. They're celebrities in their own rights, loved and idolized by the men while they're looked down on by mothers. Pao's day promises to be long, having to be cuffed on either side to Cher and Nini. He sits through them getting their hair done, and at some point, Nini wants to be excused to use the restroom, but Cher is still doing her hair, so Pao decides to uncuff Nini, letting her go unsupervised. Too much time passes, and he starts to worry because she's not back yet. Cher is under the hairdryer and fast asleep, so Pao cuffs her to the chair handle so he can go look for Nini. She's not in the restroom, and he starts to panic. He heads out into the streets and finds her making a call to her son, who stays with his grandmother. He keeps his distance for the duration of the call, letting her have her mother-son moment. The women are on the coast for some beach fun. Pao is sitting on the sand with his two prisoners, and Cher wants to be set free so she can join the others and play. Pao releases Nini as well, but she stays put, right until he confronts her about the call she made earlier. She refuses to talk about it, and he's hurt because he thought they were friends. Now he realizes that he knows nothing about her. While Nini seeks her solitude closer to the water, another woman, Jiao, comes asking Pao why he's friends with a murderer. Pao starts keeping his distance from Nini, even when she reaches out to him with her stick as usual. She knocks several times, but he fails to answer. Chang has a session with his favorite, Jiao. When it's over, he gives her a ring and she asks him if he plans to make her his wife. Chang doesn't reply but embraces her tightly. His display of affection has become evident, and the other soldiers coo and hail him. She basks in his attention and gifts, but beacons on the next man like it's all part of the job. Pao goes into her room and finds her admiring her box of jewelry. He's mad because she's not properly acknowledging the colonel's feelings for her. Gio infers that such feelings can't be real. Chang and every other man are only infatuated, and she's a tool, a means to an end. No man will want to spend the rest of their life with her knowing she's a worker. If Chang loves her so much, then he'll have to prove it. Chang barks orders that Jiao will no longer be in service, and he's ready to fight anyone that defies his stance. Colonel Yu and Director Ching find themselves in a fix with Jiao's pregnancy. Yu directs that she should be first put out of work. She's not the only one getting put out of work, though. 831 Unit's chef has been shelved for the day, so Chang can take over. Dinner that evening is on him, and the women are told to thank him. Everyone seems happy except Jiao, who keeps sulking. Pao and Nini meet up by her room's balcony. She comes clean that she was on a call with her son, and she's in the brothel to reduce her sentence. This way, she can return to her son much sooner while he's still young. She recalls how nasty her late husband was to her. She tried to leave twice, and both times the consequences were dire. She feels indebted to pay for her mistakes because she married the man against her family's wishes. She finally got rid of him after setting the house on fire. Yu's wedding day comes, and Chang is his best man. Chang was inspired to write another letter to his mother updating her that he's found a wife of his own, and they'll be home soon to take care of her. His mother arranged a marriage for him years back, and he asks in the letter if the girl is still unwedded or has found someone. If she hasn't, then he hopes his mother can help sort her out with someone better. Chang needs Pao's help in writing an IOU application letter to the commander. He plans on marrying Jiao with the money. Afterwards, they'll open a dumpling restaurant in Taiwan. He's ready to give up the fight, putting it in the hands of the younger soldiers like Pao. He's ready to be discharged. Pao doesn't look happy at first, but Chang has grown to like him and would appreciate that Pao's frown is turned upside down. Nini comes looking for Pao, wanting him to take her to go see some flowers that are blooming and only bloom once a year. It's past curfew, but she insists on seeing them. Next thing we know, they're running through the meadows, holding hands and skipping about like schoolgirls. Jiao still goes on to receive customers, stating she's not pregnant. The director frets that if word gets to Chang, he'll be furious. Chang takes Pao to what he calls a morale show to watch female dancers perform. Chang is in good spirits until Pao tells him something that changes his demeanor. They're oblivious to the MC on stage selecting a soldier at random to dance with Pai Chai Li, Southeast Asia's finest. He gets chosen because he's the only soldier that hadn't raised his hand eagerly to dance with her. While Pao dances with Chai Li, Chang walks away from the show. He heads back to tea house and confronts Jiao. He has the dowry money ready and throws it at her, demanding to know if what they had was ever true. She replies that she wants to leave the sex-worker life behind, but it can't be with him. He'd be a constant reminder of what has already happened. It's not a direct answer to his question, so he insists that she tells him what he needs to hear. She continues to provoke him, snaring that he'll never return home and see his mother. He ends up strangling her. A flashback confirms that he knew her before they ended up on the island. Pao returns and notices something is very wrong. When he gets to his unit, he sees Chang being apprehended by 2 officers. Jiao's lifeless body is still sprawled on her bed. One of the other colonels hands over Chang's personal belongings to Pao to send to Chang's hometown. They're aware he has a way around it. Pao makes a bonfire to get rid of Chang's stuff, including his treasured pairs of shoes. He admits to Nini that he'd lied to Chang about having a way to send letters to the mainland. He beats himself up for giving Chang hope and then crushing it by ratting Jiao out. Nini holds him while he cries. It's the 60th anniversary of the Republic of China. In the spirit of the anniversary, President Chiang has granted amnesty to some inmates including Nini. She'll be transferred back to prison, while her pardon is being processed. Pao is with her when she receives the news from the director. Pao goes to visit Nini in her room and they silently drink for a moment. He returns her watch and the silence continues to brew until Nini embraces him in a hug. She leans in for a kiss, and Pao captures her lips. Their desire surges and they begin eagerly peeling each other's clothes. Nini has to assist him with what to do and where to put his hands, as this is his first time. They don't make it all the way through because Pao suddenly remembers he's saving himself, so he puts his clothes back on and bolts out of the room. Pao watches from a window as Nini leaves the brothel. She tells the girls she hopes to see them leave soon after. Pao goes into her empty room and finds she's left behind her guitar. He changes after she leaves. He starts smoking, drinking, gambling, and acting like a pimp. He finally buys a ticket and goes all the way with one of the workers. One day, a soldier calls the attention of others in the unit because Peach is bleeding. She yells at a confused Pao to go get the midwife, but Cher steps in because there's no time for that. Pao is the first to hold the newborn baby and has the honor of naming it. He goes with Shouyi. He writes to Nini even with his doubts that she'll ever read it. He's getting discharged soon and has his demons, things he wished he'd done differently to prevent bad things from happening to the ones he loves. He hates that he's acted so self-righteous and thinks about her often, wondering if she does the same. The song she taught him is stuck in his head. The unit bids Pao farewell. The director advises him to live a proper life. He starts off, looking back fondly at tea house. The military brothel program was closed following the court inquiry into women's rights. Post-credits show brief scenes of what happy endings would have looked like for different characters.